Yeah. Good morning, everyone. So yesterday we done with all elements in form. So after understanding the form elements, we will learn how to design forms. So we will see some form examples. For that, to deal with form examples, actually, we will learn today bootstrap classes for forms, form elements. Bootstrap classes for form elements. If you know these, we can design forms in a more better way, right? So, how to use these bootstrap classes actually? Already in your project, you installed bootstrap icons. Already you have bootstrap icons and you are using bootstrap icons from so many days. Now, not bootstrap icons, you can install bootstrap separately, which we will learn in next levels detail. Some here you can use. So what you have to do is, so you have to install bootstrap in your project. You have to install bootstrap in your project. How to install? Same, from command prompt npm install. You have to just use bootstrap and save. You have learned bootstrap icons. Now today we are going to see some bootstrap classes related to forms. Other classes you will learn in bootstrap. Because we learned forms related to forms, some classes, if you learn, you can make the forms more better in design. So you have to first install bootstrap on your project, in your project. So this is how you have to do. Another point, bootstrap css file is available in node modules. So which location? Actually node underscore modules, in that bootstrap, in that dist, in that css, in that bootstrap.css. This is the file you have to link. You have bootstrap icons in a separate location. Bootstrap will be in a separate location. This you have to do. Actually, in any software technology, if you see, dist is a folder that contains files ready for production. Production means go live. So in any software library, if you see a folder dist is a reserved folder actually. That folder contains all the files which are ready for production. Production means going live. I told you that development happens. We have development, quality, production, so many levels will be there. Later also I will tell you. So libraries actually classified for two types: development related library, production related library. Production library means which is ready with all the features. We can use them in live development. If you want to use, those files are kept in a folder called dist. Later you will see so many other libraries having this one, dist. So what you have to do, you have to link this css file in your project. So you know how to link. So link bootstrap icons and bootstrap css in to web page. You have to link into web page. You know how to link that. We have to use link relation is what? Style sheet. href, the path I given, right? So it will be in node modules, dist, css, bootstrap.css. This is the file you need. Icons already there. Icons link relation is equal to style sheet, and href is node modules. In that bootstrap icons, here we have one bootstrap folder is missing. In node modules, you will have a folder called bootstrap. In that dist, right? In this bootstrap icons, in that you have bootstrap font, right? In font we have bootstrap icons cs. These two files you have to link to your page. All these days we were working with only bootstrap icons. Now we need one more bootstrap. You have to link that. First you have to install. Make sure that you installed bootstrap, right? So once you installed bootstrap, you can use these two options. So first let's go here. And this is our project. In this project, we will install bootstrap. In node modules, currently we have only bootstrap icons. Open terminal. You know how to install. You have to change to command prompt, right? In command prompt, you have to install npm install bootstrap save. So we are downloading and installing bootstrap in our project. Now bootstrap is ready. It is installed. Now you can use bootstrap in your pages. So let's go to here public. In public, so many are there. I will give a separate folder. I will give the name as form examples. Yeah. In this form examples, we will add a new file, some register.html or simply like some home.html. Let's design a HTML page here. Now in this, in order to use bootstrap, you have to link bootstrap. By default, bootstrap is a CSS file. It will have a lot of effects by default. Without using the classes, lot of effects are applied. For example, you see, I'm using a heading. So bootstrap and a paragraph, I say defines styles for page. You see, currently, this is the design we are having. That's the design I am having. Bootstrap defines styles for page. That is the option I am having. Now what happens here is, now let's link those style sheets here. I'm linking the style sheet here. You see, link relation is equal to style sheet, and href is equal to // means it will come out of my current folder. Current folder is form examples, but still it will stay in public only. We have to come out of public folder also. Then again /. In that we have node modules. In that we have bootstrap. In that dist. In that CSS. In that bootstrap.css. Bootstrap.css. When I apply, automatically you see some change happened right side. That means I'm not applying any classes or anything. Automatically some change happen. Suppose I'm not using this style sheet. It looks like this. That means you can see the heading font and all. When I apply the Bootstrap CSS, it is going to change the appearance a little bit. Automatically font changes, its alignment changes, all these will happen automatically. So that is actually Bootstrap by default have some effects which are applied to your page. Not only that, so many others automatic effects are applied. For example, you see, I am typing a data list. In that data term, so name, you can see automatically it becomes bold. Another data term is some name. So, and you see, it is also bold. But when I change this data term to data definition, automatically it will be normal. These are ready-made styles which are working because of Bootstrap. Bootstrap, if you put that CSS, lot of effects will automatically come. But some effects we have to apply by using our classes. Bootstrap provides classes. By using those classes, we can give a good appearance. So ready-made, so many classes are present, we have to use them. We are not going to learn all Bootstrap classes now. We are going to learn only some important classes used for forms. Because we learned forms concept, we will learn related to forms. Other classes later when we learn individually Bootstrap, you will learn about it. So here currently Bootstrap is ready. Bootstrap is working in our page, but we will not use here. We will use Bootstrap for forms. We will put one more. Another one, what is it? Link relation is equal to style sheet href. It is node / node modules bootstrap icons. In that font, bootstrap icons.css. One for bootstrap, another for icons. There is no order. You can link anything first, second, doesn't matter. So now your page is ready to use Bootstrap and Bootstrap icons. So what you have to learn here is, so Bootstrap classes used for the Bootstrap classes which are used for form elements. Bootstrap classes used for form elements. What are the Bootstrap classes used for form elements? We have to know, right? Let's see. So Bootstrap classes used for form elements, I will give you here class name and a small description. So what are the classes we regularly use? So you learned about lot of controls in Bootstrap in form. Generally, we have a class called form control. This form control is used for text box. It is used for password. It is used for email. It is used for date. It is used for URL. It is used for number. So it is only these options we have. Means string input. What are the string inputs we are having? Text, password, email, date is also form control, URL, number. If you are using another you can also use for text area. For all these controls, you have to use a class called form control. For text boxes, for passwords, for emails, URLs, for all of these, you have to use form control. That is the class used for all these text box, passwords and all. Next, another important class we have to use form select. Form select is used for select element. That means we have to use for drop down. So drop down, for drop down or list box, we have to use form select. When you are designing a drop down or list box, for that you have an option form select. Drop downs and list box, you know how to design, we learned by using select, right? Another important, we have to use form range. This you have to use for range input. Range input, you know how to do. Input type range we learned. For range input, you have to use form range. Form range is used for that. So form control, form select and form range. Now we have another option, form check input. Form check input, it is for radio and checkbox. For radios and checkbox, we have to use form check input. Form check input is a class which is used for radios and checkboxes, right? Form check input is for if you want to group the radio and checkboxes. For that group, you have to use a form switch. Form switch is a very modern way of displaying checkboxes. These days, everywhere you will see form switch very much. And the form switch can be used for radio and checkbox groups. For radio checkbox groups, you have to use, right? So form controls, so form select, form range, form check input and form switch. We have one more, form label. Actually, it is used for label control. Label control, I will tell you now, we will use it. We have a special label element. This label element is used for forms. We will see how to use and how do we work with this label element. So form label is used for labels. Next, we have another is we have input group. Input group, it is used for it is used to group a set of form elements. To group a set of form elements, we have input group. In this, we have actually input group have options like LG. LG is large size. We have two size, just input group and input group LG. LG is large size. To group set of form elements, to group set of form elements, we have to use it. Set of form elements, we have to use that. And very important, one more we are having. So form file. Form file is nothing but, so this is for input type file, right? For file input, you have to use form file. Now, these are the basic classes you need for designing a form. Now, once you know these classes, we will see how to design them, how to use them in the design. One basic example we will see. And generally, in Bootstrap, you have to know some more classes, like actually M is used for, M is a class. It is used for margin. Margin. M is used for margin. P is used for padding. We can use M for margin, P for padding. So we have another option here. T is for top and B for bottom and E for right. Right is end. S for start. That is for left. So these are the directions. Suppose you want margin right, margin top, margin bottom. Then what you have to do is you have to write empty. Empty means margin top. Right? You have to see PE. That means padding right. That is padding right. That's how we generally write margins and padding. So if you put just margin, it will put all directions. These are the classes we regularly use. So for form, several more are there, we will see. But basic forms, we have to use this. Another important is margins and bottom. So here we have 1, 2, 4. That is the size of margin and padding. Size of margin and padding we give 1 to 4. That means, so M4 we can give like this, margin all directions 4. So MT4, margin top 4. Or I can give PB2, padding bottom 2, like that. Up to 1 to 4, you can define these margins and paddings and all. These are all classes. For margin M, for padding P, for top T, bottom B, and right E, and start S, left. Size for margins you can keep from 1 to 4 level. We can configure that, right? That is important. Now here, these are the basic classes you need to understand. Now, once you know these list of classes initially used, let's see how to create a form. Means how we can design a form. So we will take some examples and we will try to create some examples. Professionally, how the forms are created. That means, so designing a form with the standard format. What is the standard format of a form? I will show you how a form is designed in a standard format. See, for that first step here, here we are using a simple heading. Let's create a form. I'm creating a form here, and this form we need to design with some controls, some elements we need to put into this form. So to design some elements into the form, how to professionally create a form? Every form can have a heading. We will put a heading. Some register user, that is the heading. Now under this heading, you may have some categories, username, password, date of birth, some categories. Every category is kept in a div. For every category, you have to create one container. In this container, you have to keep a label. Label defines the heading of that category. So the heading of the category is user name. Okay. Label works like a span. So under the label, we have to put the control. That means we have to put a div under the label. Under the label, we need to keep a control. So label individual, under that a container again div. In this div, we use input type is equal to text. This is option, and this is having a name called user name. Now this label have to work for this username. So for label, we have to use an attribute for which element it should work for name. This is the professional way of binding the forms. That means now label works for username. And what is the advantage of making a label work for that particular element? Later, when you are doing with JavaScript, if the username is invalid or you want to show some errors, then you can display some color like red for username, and it will work for both text box as well as label. That means you put a color for username, automatically it will affect for both text box and label, because label is binded with text box. Binding of label with text box is done by using for attribute. It's mandatory. These are professional designs of forms. That means if you say that I have seen a website, they are not using this, we don't care about them. We don't care about them, right? We don't care about somebody doing nonsense. We will just follow what is standard. We don't care about whether he's using or not. Why should I care about that, right? I should just write as per what standards are, right? Somebody is not writing, I don't care about what he's not writing. So you should never care about any websites. They are not writing a label, they are not writing for, useless to compare at all with them. So the point is, as per standard, every form must have a label for a element category. That label should bind with the element, and for that we need to use for, right? This is one category. This is one category. Okay, let's create another category, another div. In that label, I am giving, this is password, and here I will give for what password. Below that we will keep a div, and we will keep an input type as text. Password, yeah, password, and the name is what? Password. Okay, this is another. Next, another container I will give. Here I will put a label. So this label for suppose city, and below this we will put a div, and here we will write a drop down. Drop down contains an option. So I said some select your city. Here label I will give as your city. So, and here options have others. Option is having some daily, option is having Hyderabad, like this. So this will have a name. What is the name? City. It should work for that. Okay, so now next, another container, another category. So here we will put a label, and I will give as subscribe. Like this I am giving subscribe, and for I will give subscribe, and here we will put a simple div, and we will put a input type is equal to checkbox. I'm using a checkbox, and for checkbox, beside checkbox again a label will come. This label, so yes, I am just giving the word yes, and this is just a label to display the value for this checkbox. This checkbox will have a name. Name is what? Subscribe. Like this we write. Now after that I will put another container div. I will put here a button, and in the button I will say register. Now this is one important. Now in the forms you have this ready. Now let's run this and see. Your form looks like this. That means the form have a normal approach, nothing special. and see actually lot of left indentation, it gone outside the margin actually. So we will do one thing with our general CSS. What we will do is, for the body section we will write how to keep center, you know na? So style we will give body what it is, display as what, flex. We will use justify content. Center we will keep align items also center, and it will keep like this. We are keeping that in the center. And just what I will do is, for form we will put a border as 1 pixel, so solid, some red color or say some gray. That is the form. For form we will put some padding as 10 pixel form. Okay, it looks like this. And vertically it is not center. Vertically center depends on height na? We have to define height some 400 pixels, then it will adjust. Height some 500 pixels, body then 500 pixels, then it will be little better. Now this is the basic form we created, but it not having a good appearance. We will keep a good appearance for this. That means we will design with a good appearance for this. Now for that you need to apply these classes. We have to apply these classes. And one more, I have forgot to give you the classes for buttons. Buttons have class. So classes we have BTN. BTN primary, secondary, danger, warning, success, info, all these info, etc. These are button styles actually. We have button, BTN primary, and another option we are having, that is W100, W100, W25, W50, W75. This is actually, W means width. These are all the classes for whom? These are all the classes for whom? These are all the classes for buttons. These are button styles. For buttons so many others are there. I am just giving only 2 as of now. Later in Bootstrap you will learn. And this is W is nothing but width. We can define width 100, 25%, 50%, 75%. To any control you can apply this width actually. So for buttons you have BTN primary like this. You see now we will go to the design here. In the design first step is you see I need some space between every category. All categories are attached to each other, some space between every category. So let's go here. This is one category and this is another category. Category, I need some gap. So we will put a class for this category, margin bottom some 4. Margin bottom 4, maximum 4 you can give, and you can see some gap will come. So some gap will come from username and password. I can give margin bottom 3, so little better. Okay, now another password. Here we will put a class margin bottom as 3. For next city, class margin bottom as 3. Okay, some subscribe, class margin bottom as 3. Every category we are giving. Now for button no need to give because it is the last. Below that there is nothing. So Now you can see some space is there. Some space is adjusted for every category. For every category, some space is adjusted. Okay, now we need some space between this label and text box, some gap between them. So what is the class for label? Already I told you here, labels are defined with which class? Labels are defined with the form label. Form label. So wherever labels are there, let's go. Yeah, wherever labels are there, here apply a class form label. I will copy this for every label. And see, when I apply this, you can see some gap is there between label and text box. It is not there here. So we will put that gap for every label. Every label will have a form label. For every label, you have to use form label. Wherever you are using the label, form label. Okay. I don't want here because it is just beside. Below only we need that. Okay. Now this is having a good gap. All right. Now next point is we want effect for text box password. For passwords and text box, what is the class? The class for text box, password, email, URL, we have to use form control. So here we will use a class called form control. And for password also, we will use a class called form control. What about this drop down? For drop down, we have a class form select, not form control, form select. What is for the checkbox? For checkbox, I told you we have a class called form check input. Form check input is for checkbox and radios. And observe carefully here. For button, we are using the class as BTN primary. That is the class. And you can see now the appearance will be in this way. Now you have a text box, we have a text box, we have a password box, we have a drop down, we have subscribe this button and this button. And very important here is suppose now see this button I am giving W100, that means width fit. It fits the window. How much width you are giving, it fits that window. That is W100. And observe here, this is actually checkbox. These days, checkbox are used in a different appearance. You can simply, wherever checkbox is there, this is the checkbox group. As I told you, for checkbox group, we can apply a class called form switch. Then automatically the checkbox changes into a switch box like this. That is checkbox. This is the modern checkboxes. These are all the modern checkboxes. So this is checkbox. If you don't give switch, then it looks like an ordinary checkbox. If you don't give switch, it is an ordinary checkbox. And if you are giving the switch for that group, then automatically it will become a slider. That means you can turn on and turn off. It depends on what you give. Suppose I given here, you know, checkbox have a checked property. Then automatically it is selected. You can turn on and on. That's what you can define. Now this here having text boxes, password boxes, drop downs and checkbox. And here we are having a button. Suppose for the form I am giving, width as suppose 300 pixel. That means some width will increase. We can set the width, automatically controls will adjust accordingly. I am defining some 400 pixel, then the width will adjust for the form. I am using the padding as some 20 or 30 pixel, then some gap will come. And for register user, so here we are using a simple span and class bi person fill. Like this, I am defining person fill, and you can give a simple option like this. Yeah, we can give a simple like this. So this is basically how the form elements are created. If you use the form classes, then it is easy and it is very good for presentation. This is the traditional form designs. Means anywhere in the world you are designing a form, these are the basic rules you have to remember. So every category in the form, it must be kept in a div. Every category must contain a label and a control. And what are the classes given for them is important. Later you will see other elements also. We will see how to use other elements. But this is a traditional form. This is how we design a traditional form. I will copy this for you. In this, we are using two things. What are those? We are using Bootstrap as well as Bootstrap icons. So designing form with standard format, right? This is example, huh? And this is all the example. This is the code that we designed. Here we are using Bootstrap and Bootstrap icons to create this. Still, it is not done. Lot of designs are there for the forms. While working with forms, this is one. Now, I hope you see the buttons. You can apply different classes. Button primary. I say button success. When I say button success, its color will change. I have like button danger. So danger, its color will change. I have like button warning. So its color will change. We have different colors. We can apply those and define them. Button styles. Button have a lot of other things you will learn in Bootstrap. Initially, so I'm just giving button primary and it will get me that here display. So button colors, these are effects, right? Now, once we are done with this, now see, this is example I given to you. Now, while working with forms, another example you need to know how to create input groups. Input group with Bootstrap. Input group with Bootstrap is very common thing in websites while designing the forms. Every time, forms will not be having the elements one below another. They will be having sometimes one beside another. Input groups are very important for form designs. For example, see now. Input groups means, let's open Amazon. This is Amazon. You see, this is a form side by side. That is a form side by side. Drop down, beside it text box, beside it search button, not one below another. These and very important, you can observe this drop down looks like it is combined with text box. This is called input groups. These are input groups. So for example, you saw Netflix, and in the Netflix, this is also input group. This is a text box, looks like combined with button. This is all input groups. These kind of forms are very common these days, right? So how we can give that? For the two classes I told you, input group LG. We have input group LG, right? Input group LG is for large, or you can group SM. SM is for small and large input groups. How input groups work? Very simple. See, suppose let's take another page now. I will take a new, I will say input group.html. Okay. And let's design a HTML page. Let's link those two files we need. link relation is style sheet, link href is / node modules, bootstrap dist css, bootstrap dot css. Okay. And another link relation is equal to style sheet, href is equal to node mod / node modules, bootstrap icons font bootstrap icons dot css. Okay, so now inside this, here in the body section, I am designing a simple heading. I will put a container. Now I will keep this body center for your just understanding sake. Style, so wherever body is there, we will keep display as a flex, display flex, justify content center, align items center. Okay, and height little bit, some 400-500 pixel. Now inside this body section, in this I am creating a div. Now this div contains so a drop down select. In the select we have an option will have all, and here we are having so another option, suppose mobiles, so another option, some footwear fashion, something like this. Now this is drop down. After the drop down, I am having a text box, input type is equal to text. After the text box, I am having a button. In this button, I will put a span class bi search. This is the design, means as per Amazon, left side they have drop down, after that text box, after that button, same order we given. Now initially this looks like this, it looks like this. That means we have a drop down, we have a text box, we have a button. For drop down, I will leave it in the same way, I don't want to change. For text box, I am changing the class here. Class is what? Class as form control. For text boxes we use form control. For buttons what we use? Class btn and btn warning. I am using btn warning. You can see the button looks like this now. Now here, where is it? Yes, the body have a div. So that means this div, I will put a class called better. Actually, yeah, this class I will give as Amazon, or say search bar. Search bar. I will put here dot, what is it? Search bar. For search bar width, I given some 600 pixel. Then search bar width will be like this. 600 pixel, 500 pixel, some search bar width is there. But actually we need this side by side. Then simply what you have to do is, these drop down text box buttons are kept in a div. That div should have a class called input group. That's it. Input group. Then automatically they look combined. That is done. That means they have input group. Now this drop down should display separate style. So then generally in input group, if any element you want in a different appearance, you can give a class called input group text. If you give input group text, then its appearance will be in this way. Now that is how it looks like. That means this is a simple Amazon like search bar. And here we have to use a simple input group. Keep all the contents in a container and just apply input group. If you want the same, that means you see this is Amazon. So you have seen, that means I will use another one. That means another container I will use. Another container I will use. In this, I am giving input type is equal to email. After that, I will put a button. So in this button, I will say here, I will define here get started. And here I am defining one more option. What is it? Span class BI chevron right. You can see actually it will display like this. Get started, it will be like this. I will use some space. That means I will give here. This will have margin bottom. How much? 4. Some gap will come. And you see here, now these two controls, what we are doing is, we are giving email. Email also class what? Form control. For buttons, what is the class? Class as BTN danger. Danger will give a red color. It will be like this. And what we will do, we will keep these two in a class called input group. Then it will be in this way. That means it is having these two combined here. You can put a placeholder like, we learned placeholder. So here you say your email address. Then automatically it will display that. This is input groups. This is input group. We can define input group in this way. This is how, and if you want large size, you have to add one more input group as LG. LG is large. It will display a little bigger. The above one is small. This one is large. So this is input group. How you define an input group. This is how we define input groups. Input group is not only for this. Several other options we use input groups. Several other options we can use input groups. For example, see here. I am adding margin bottom as 3. I will create another container, and in this I will just define here. So here we will put a label. We'll put a label. So in this label, we are giving here as, suppose we will put a span, right? We will put a span and a class BI and BI. Here I will define some key fill. I will use key fill. And here we are using input type is equal to password. And for password, we will have a class as a form control. And you can see this, I will put a class as what? Input group. And for text, any text, you can keep a class called, for any text or any special appearance you want, class as input group text. Input group text. And you can see that the password will be like this. And here we are having two classes I am giving. One class is enough, na? Right. This class I will apply here. Okay. Class must be only one. In that you can add multiple classes. It looks like this now. You can see input group I am giving. Input group what? LG. And you can see this is the password. That means here user enters the password. We can give lot of options. That means you can combine anything left, you can combine anything right. For example, sometimes what we do is this key we will keep here. Right side we will put another span and the class. For this we will put BI and BI we have, suppose, check. We have check circle. I am using check circle fill or check square fill. Okay. And this also have input group text. Input group text, that means we have input group text left, input group text right. In the middle we are having password. It looks like this. That means it is going to display in this way. That means right side one option is there, left side another option is there, and in the middle we are typing some content. These are input groups. While designing the forms, these kind of forms are very common. So remember, you are just learning these with regard to HTML, right? If you start learning about Bootstrap, you can do a lot of more things. This is just related to HTML complementing with Bootstrap. If you start Bootstrap, then you can imagine what else you can do with that, right? This is not Bootstrap you are learning complete here. Just after all 4 or 5 classes you learn. Bootstrap have hundreds of such classes and effects which makes the presentation effective. So this is very important in designing the form. So HTML can just create a form, and these will make the forms more effective. And while working with the forms, you need to know what is the basic tradition, and you should know how to create input groups. How do we create input groups? Because regularly forms will be in 2 ways, either the traditional approach, one below another, or they will be one beside another. So only 2 types of things you will see regularly. So this is the concept. Now you can try others. That means what you can do is, now as I showed you, you go to Amazon. In the Amazon you have a sign in option. You can try designing this now, right? You can try designing this screen. This is your task, right? You have to design this complete Amazon screen. The image at the top, copy that image. Below that form, in that we have a control, and you see you have to design this is button, this is button, this is only just number, right? Text box. And you know these are, what are these? Not drop down. It is details and summary. We learned detail summary, na? Detail summary, expandable, collapsible. This is not drop down. This is details and summary, right? That means you have to expand and collapse these details available, right? Now you have to try this. You have to design this. If you can design this, that's very good. Very good. Now we can try some more complex forms. How we can handle and work with that complex form. Now, once you know this, you can design complex things. Now, how to design complex things, I will tell you. But this is your task. You try, including the footer, everything. Including the footer and everything, you must able to design, right? If you can design these kind of screens, it's very good. Later we can go little complex once we start Bootstrap like options. Now actually you can design the Netflix like page also with the help of these forms. You can design this kind of page with the help of these forms, right? That means to create this kind of page, you need to put some more efforts into this. Here I will show you how we can design this. Means how to create such interface. Because to practice forms, you take Amazon or you take Instagram. You have Instagram, right? You try this Instagram also. You can see there is a form here. You can try this form. Right side you have a form, right? So if you can try these kind of forms, that's very good, right? So animations you don't need to do. Just that I'm just asking about this form, only that you have to design, right? Now actually input group have a lot of other things. input group have lot of other things. So in various options, you remembered I asked you to try a template design. So website template design, I asked you na, try a website template design. In that you have seen forms, right? What is that project related, right? Actually, Bootstrap. Yeah. So I asked you to try this design. Am I right? This layout, this kind of layout, when you design this kind of layout, this I uploaded into class. Zip file I uploaded na, right? Here you go to the sign in and login options. You see these are the forms, right? Now you see email, text. This is what these are. What these are input groups. Input groups. That means left side one symbol, right side one symbol. In the middle we have email. This is input group, right? The form. These are buttons. Buttons will have those symbols. Those icons, Bootstrap icons. Bootstrap icons, we can use them. Now, you remembered we learned about designing cards also, na? We learned designing cards. So where is it? In the public folder, cards. Yeah. We learned designing of such cards. We learned designing of such cards. Now here, we can put buttons, options, forms like concept. In cards also you can put the forms. Such things you will try later. As of now, what you do is you try two things. One is Amazon sign-in page. Netflix also, just I will give you some help. You try. Right? If you can do, okay. Otherwise, in class, I will show you. Netflix, only one extra thing you have to learn is, actually, I will show you. Generally, Netflix have images. We copied Netflix banner JPG, na? Yeah, see, let's create here Netflix.html. Here we will put the page and we will copy these files. At the top, we need these two files. Same, I will copy them just to save time. And I will copy them and put here. So we have Bootstrap icons also. Now, what you have to do is, in the style, we have body. In the body, we have to apply background image. You have to apply background image. Body background image URL. Background image URL is where it is /. It is in which folder? Again // it is in public. In public we have images. In that Netflix banner.jpg. Now you see in the background Netflix banner will come. This is Netflix banner in the background, right? Now I want this banner correctly fit on page. Correctly fit on page. So after applying background image, you have to apply background size. Background size we put as cover. Background size cover, then it will keep in this way. But very important, this image should not dominate. It should not dominate. Dark color we want. Because if I put any text on this, it will not display. So what we do is, inside the body, you put a div. Inside the body, you put a div. For this div, we will put a class called shade, some shade. And we will write the class here, shade. For shade, what I am doing, background color, I am applying black. You can see background color is black, and this div don't have any content. So what you have to do, height I will define as suppose 768 pixels. Height 768 pixels. It is black. Under this there is photo. Under this there is photo. So you have learned how to apply colors by using two things, color name and hexacode. Here you can apply one more, RGBA. Color in CSS later you will learn. RGBA, red, green, blue, alpha. Alpha means transparency. Alpha means transparency. Red, green, blue. And first value red. Red value can be 0 to 255. Every color value will be 0 to 255 in RGB. In hexa 0 to F. 0 to F. Hexa code 0 to F. RGB 0 to 255. If I give 0, 0, 0, red, green, blue, they will be black. And comma, transparent. How much transparency you want? I want transparency can be given from 0 to 1. 0 to 1 means 0.4. If I give 0.4, now you can see transparency will be there. Now image is not dominating. Image is not dominating. Now I will change here. Suppose 0, some 6, 7 or like this. It will be little more darker. That means in the background we need image, but it should not dominate. This is the trick how we apply. Now in this we need to put the contents. In this we need to put the content. That means now we have to keep that Netflix register, headings and everything, header, footer, everything inside it. Now you just saw how to create a register form. Now I will put here a div. In this div, I am just giving an option, input type is equal to what? In this div, again I will create a div, okay? And in this I will give input type is equal to email, and placeholder we will say your email address. And what is the class we have? Form control. After that we have a button have get started, and here we will have a span. What is it? Class bi chevron right, and button have a class called btn and btn danger. And for this we will put a class called what? Input group. And you can see that comes here at the top. It is there now. Then I need to adjust this now, right? You know how to adjust that. That means what we have to do, for shade I will give display as flex, justify content what? Center, align items to center, and height I given to some 500 pixel. And you can see already height is there, right? And you can see it will display like this. Now heading below, width and height you can adjust now. That means the width and height we can adjust. We can put some content here. That means here I am adding a heading. So Netflix have a heading. That means here what heading they have. So let's go to the Netflix page. In the Netflix page, unlimited movies, okay? That is the heading we are having, and you can see that heading comes here, right? But color, you know what to do. Actually, what we have to do, so for body, wherever color comes, color we will put as white. It will display that watch anywhere, anytime also is there. So you can see it looks like this. You can adjust the width, height, and under this I am having another heading. Under this I am having another heading, and you can see it will display like this. You know how to keep them center, alignments, width, height. That means what we do. So wherever heading is there, heading 1 is there, I will give font family Arial. I am giving suppose font size some 60 pixel. Heading 1 will be large. I will give width as some 500 pixel. Then it will come in this way. I will keep this in 400 pixel or 600 pixel. It will be in this way. And I will give here option text align what? Center. Then it will be in this way. Heading 3 also text align. What is it? Center. It will keep in this way. That means we are keeping the content. That means depending on how you want to create. That means the font styles you can change because it is a heading, right? So it is a heading. So suppose I am giving font weight what? Bold. And you can see it will get bold. So that is the background, and the foreground we have some content. Now we can add header above, we can add footer below, we can add lot of other content. That means this is just only idea. We will create a complete screen layout exactly like that. Here an idea to make you understand that this is how we use the combination, right? Now we will take the Netflix example and we will try to design that entire screen example of Netflix with the concepts that we learned up to now. Understood? If you can do that, then it is very good. Then we can go to other topics, how to handle that. We'll see in next session, right? Don't try this Netflix. If you try, okay, fine. Later I will explain this, right? On Monday session we will design Netflix. So I will give you step by step all the process how to create that page. So 50% I will help, rest you have to finish, right? So you have to try that. But for Monday your task is Amazon login page, Instagram login page. You try to design those 2 pages and submit in the classroom. Okay, that is your task, right? Monday we will discuss about Netflix design. Okay, right.